Hello, my name is Zombie878 and welcome back to another YouTube video. A day ago, I posted a post on Reddit to see if anybody wanted me to try building something, and I'll be going over those posts one by one and making posts like that every week. So if you want me to build a certain tutorial, either look for the post on Reddit or type what you want me to build on YouTube in a comment section. Anyway, today we're going to be building a CV2 quest. We won't be building the whole quest, but we will just be building the circuits to show you how you can build a quest with your own room. So I will meet you there. Hello, I am back, and now that we have everything set up and we're in the room, I think the first thing we're going to start with is how in Quest, when you step on a door, the door unlocks. I recommend not doing this though, because you want your quest to be a continuous quest. You don't want them to step on a door and constantly go to a door. But I will show that just because it does happen in Quest. So you want to get the yellow color, make the door lock any color you want. Just gonna make this yellow. And we're gonna place a trigger zone over this. A CV2 trigger zone, because we're not using no CV1. We're using CV2. So just make sure that it aligns with this. Make it pretty tall. And now we're going to get all players chip. Get an all players chip. So type in get all players chip should come up. Just place this right next to the trigger zone. And we're also going to get a get element chip. So type in get ELE. It should come right up. And based on how many people are in your room, you want to place down one for each player, but I'm assuming since this is a quest, you're going to want 4 players. But just place one for every player in the room. Going to want to connect all the inputs of the list get element to the output of the get all players, and you want to change the number. So 0 is going to be the first player, 1 on the index is going to be player 2, 2 is going to be 3, and 3 is going to be 4, etc. So the first ID of the player is going to be under 0, not 1. So you're always going to be 1 behind. So if you have 20 players in your room, it's going to be 19 index, not 20 index. So now that we have that set up, let's move this up. This is going to output every player in the room. So what we're going to do is we're going to get an equals and if chip. So type in EQ and get equals. Just place it right here. And we're also going to get an if chip. So type in if. So what this is going to do is this is going to output the number of players in the room. This the reason I put these list get elements here is so in case you want to do something specific with each player, you can. But we're actually going to be using this. So get all players, which gets the player count of the room, which I'm the only one in the room, so it's only going to stay 1. So we're going to place that right here. And we're also going to get the list of players in the zone. If I step out the zone, it's going to be 0. If I go in the zone, it's going to say 1 and connect it here. And if the number of players in the room equals the number of players in the zone, of course, we're going to wire it to the player enters. So whenever a player enters, it activates. And besides having a door, let's have a sound effects chip just to test it out. Because if we have a door, we'll go to a different room, which we don't want. So let's just get the sound effects. The CV2 sound effects and place it right here. And we're going to wire it. And we're going to change the sound. Let's change it to a beat. Actually, let's change it to collectible sound. Where's collectible? Collectible. We're going to turn this to 3D audio so people can't hear it from too far away. We're gonna have it interrupt the current sound, change the volume to 10, and we're also gonna have it sync so every player can hear it. Now, since there's only one player in the room, if that one player enters the trigger zone, this is going to be true because both these are 1. And since I got this wired to player enter, this is going to activate. And since it's true, it's going to activate the sound effects. Let's test it out. It looks like I need to change the execute of the if chip. What should I change it to? Let's get an event receiver and just change it to update 30 hertz a second. That way it will just be easier. I don't really like using too many event receivers because if you use too much, your CPU and your net could go up, what you don't want it to go up too much. But since we're just going to be testing this out in a tutorial, I guess I'll just hook this up to an update 30 hertz a second. And now, why is that false? Should be true. Is it because it's a list? Maybe I should get the element, list get element. Wait, I can just copy this down. Copy this. Maybe it's really because it's list get element. So we're going to have these equal each other instead and not a list. And now it's making noise because this is updating 30 hertz a second. So it constantly is going to make that noise. You see the CPU. It says the index is out of range. Anyway, now whenever I enter, it makes that sound. But like I said, we don't want to do that 30 hertz a second, otherwise it's going to hurt your ears. So right when we enter the zone, so equals chip does not work with a list. Remember that. You need to always get the element. So since we have 4 players, we're actually going to, I'm going to delete this update 30 hertz a second chip. Just going to copy this. Just bring this up a bit first. I'm going to copy the sound effects and copy this. So what this is going to do is we're going to connect each of these list get elements. Yeah, we're going to connect all these list get elements and get 4 of them here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're just going to move these up a little so we don't accidentally step in the trigger zone. And we're going to connect all of the listed elements here. Going to change it to 1, 2, 3, just like we have up here. Now we're going to connect these to the equals chip. We're actually going to connect the bottom one to the sound effects chip. So whenever the first person that's in the room, which there's always going to be one person in the room, so your first player is always going to be correct. So when the first person in the room steps in the trigger, obviously it works. But what if you have two players? Then what we're going to do is we're going to have it so since there's one player in the trigger zone, this is going to be true. And if there's a second player in the trigger zone and this is true, then this will activate. But since I don't have a second player, you're just going to hear the sound of the log saying index is out of range. But if there was a second player in the room, then this will be true. And when the second player enters, this would activate. The same with a third or fourth player or however many players. Just wire the then to here. So if all of them are true, then this activates. And if there's a fourth player, wire the fin to the other if chip. And now if you have 4 players in your room and you enter this zone, the fourth player enters this zone, it will unlock the door. Or it will transport you to another room, which I will show you how to do. But we need CV2 on for that. So open your menu, go into your room settings, and scroll down until you see CV2 beta content and turn that on. Now that you have CV2 beta content on, you can't make inventions. This button is grayed out. But what you can do is you can use some extra stuff. Like, for example, you can use this new chip to go to a room via Circuit V2. You can't use this if you don't have CV2. So make sure you got CV2 beta enabled. Connect the destination room constant to the destination chip. The player to, we're actually just going to connect this to the local player. So get a local player chip out. And what the local player chip does is it will just get the local player who activates the circuit. So if we connect this to the local player, it's going to get whichever player activated the circuit. And now that we have that, connect your thin chip of the fourth player to the go-to room or however many you want. And you can choose any destination you want. And you want to have it so everybody auto follows. So I'll just choose the sub room that I'm in right now. And I'll choose for everyone to auto follow. Now, if I save the room and I step in here, it would teleport me, but it only teleports you if there's 4 players. So In regular Rec Room Quest, if you enter a certain area, it's going to spawn the enemies, but it only does it one time. If you So let's go ahead and get the spawner gadget. We're going to get the spawner gadget that's not V1, and we're just going to place it right here. Move it up so it's above the ground, and we're going to make this whatever enemy you want. I'll just make this a elite melee goblin. And what we want to do before we do anything is we want to go into this room, go into settings, scroll all the way down, and bake a nav mesh. What this does is this bakes this huge square nav mesh, which will allow it so the AI can move. The AI cannot move and will just stay in one place and die if there's no nav mesh. So now let's go ahead and get another trigger zone, or we can just copy this one. Gonna move the goblin a little further back and move the trigger zone a bit over here, make it thinner. And now whenever we wire the player inner to the start, it's going to spawn one because we only have one. You can only change this up to a maximum of 10 because only 10 enemies can spawn at once. You can have it spawn in between how many seconds, so it'll spawn one. And if you have this at 5, it will spawn 5. But if you have this at 2, it will wait 2 seconds before each spawn. And I'm going to spawn in a weapon. Spawn in a... I'll spawn in a crossbow. Gonna get rid of the highlight beacon, make it grabbable. So now if I'm gonna keep my maker pin out, if we enter this trigger zone, it will spawn this guy. But since we have no health, he can't really kill me. But he will follow me because we have a nav mesh. So now that we have that, we need to fix the problem of people re-entering the trigger zone and it just constantly spawns them. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to have a int variable. So type in int v, you should get int variable. We're going to make it so it adds, so get an add chip. And now whenever someone enters the trigger zone, it will make the int variable go up. We need another equals and if chip. So let's find that equals and if. So since this activates first and it doesn't activate this first, we're actually going to change this to equals 1. So it activates this, it adds 1, and since this activates after this, it's going to be 1. So now, if we do that, and we connect this to the goblin, now when we enter the trigger zone, it will only spawn him one time. Well, after I kill him. And now if we enter again, it won't spawn him again because whenever you enter, this adds 1 and it only spawns him if this equals 1. To have the people get points. So if you want them to, I don't know, get points every time they kill something, you could do that. Or you could have it where they break a pot and get points that way. I don't know if you want to do that because pots take up quite a bit of ink if you place a lot of them. Let's see, I'll get a large pot. My ink is at 3.98 and it goes to 4.93, so almost 1%. So 100 pots will be kind of a lot. Even if you place 50, that's 50, 45% ink right there, basically. So we're just going to have it so whenever you kill an AI, it gives you points. So to show you the points I get, I'm going to actually place a text variable right here. Just make it bigger. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a string format. So type in string, and string format should be the second one. And make the format whatever you want. But my format's going to be player 1. Yeah, player 1 points. And all you want the press shift, have the squiggly brackets, press 0 and then close your squiggly brackets. Now this is going to say player 1 and the 0 is the value. So now we're going to make it so where's the int variable? Okay, yeah, we're going to copy an int variable. Going to place it right here. And we're also going to get another event receiver. This is actually going to output whenever an AI dies. So we're going to move the int variable over a bit, over some more. So we are going to put an equals chip, equals an if chip over here again, equals an if. And we're going to wire the attacker of the AI who died to just you can wire to any of these list get elements if you want. Oh, well, first of all, you need the combatant chip, which you can only get in Circuit V2, so very important that you put on Circuit V2. Very important. So you want the 2 combatant chip for each player. So I am going to copy this 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to place this for each player. And you want to do this for each player, but I'm only going to make circuits for one person. Since I'm the only one here, there's no point to make it for another player. If you wire this to the if chip, whenever an AI dies, it's going to get the attacker who killed the AI, and it's going to get the combatant of whichever player you hooked up to it. So since I'm player one, I hook this up to player one, but if you want player two and three, four, you just hook it up to the bottom. And you hook up the attacker to the top. And whenever I kill an AI, I'm going to change the name of the int variable, because if you don't, it's going to create problems because it will add one here and it will add one there since they both have the same name. So we're actually going to name this P1 for player one. And we're going to have it so they get 50 points per kill. You can have any amount of points per kill, but I'll have 50. Now, whenever I kill an AI, this activates because I'm the one who killed it. It's going to go over here and give me 50 points. And now we want a two-string variable. I mean, not a variable. We just want a two-string chip. So type in 2ST. It should come right up. Place it right here. Connect your player one value output and put it to the value in the string format. And now it's going to say a 0 right there because it's actually connected to a value. Did my crossbow drop? Well, it doesn't matter if my crossbow dropped. I'll just spawn another weapon. Didn't really like the crossbow. I need a sniper. Yeah, there we go. Laser railgun. Take off the highlight beacon, make it grabbable, and we're also going to turn on the respawn so it keeps respawning here even if it falls off the map. So if I let go of it, it will spawn there within a second. Oh yeah, and we also want to connect the set text over here so it actually sets the amount of points to here, the player value, the output of it. So now, if I step through here, it's going to spawn an enemy. I'm going to kill the enemy. And it's going to say I got 50 points. Now that we got the point system, the enemy system, and the door lock system, I think we're basically done. You just need to we just need to place some weapons around, place some more enemies around, and that's about it. So if you enjoyed the tutorial, please leave a like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you in the next video.